right. Okay. Hi, guys. Hi. First of all, I was telling my youth, this is Torian. This is Chris. Say hi, everyone. I'm Pastor Tiff. First of all, I was saying that is so cool that you guys have a youth led worship team. Like, that is a gift. That's pretty rare, guys. I think it's super cool that you guys are leading worship, paving the way. You guys are really special, and it was really cool watching you guys. So, that was my first thing. Sorry, guys. Oh, the speaker's moving. All right. Well, my name is Pastor Tiff. I like the intro. Thank you for that. It was cool. I'm a youth pastor in Oakland, and I'm also a barista. I know it's a weird combo. It's a pastor by day, professional latte artist by night. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But it was actually really funny because when I first got hired, I was talking to a coworker. She was asking me what I do. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a youth pastor," and she looked at me super shocked, and she was like, but you're so short. And I was like, oh, all right, all right. I loved it though. But back to the serious question, matcha or coffee? Matcha. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. I'm feeling a lot of matcha. Okay, the next question, iced or hot? This is a good crowd because if it was hot, I would have walked out here, guys. I'm sorry. I would ask Jesus to come. But yeah, anyways, I'm so honored to be here, you guys. Your pastor, Pastor Fafa, he actually he knew me when I was a baby. He and my dad actually used to be in the worship band together. So when I got a text, when I got a text a couple months ago asking to preach at his church, I was like, of course, that's such a full circle for me to come. I'm pretty sure he hasn't seen me in like 20 years, so from a baby to not that tall, but 24-year-old. So I count it as an honor to be here, guys. I don't take it lightly. I believe the Lord has a word for you guys, so I want you guys to be ready. And I want you guys to point with me. This word is not just for my neighbors. Stretch, stretch. Come on. Yeah, you guys need some stretching. It's not just for my neighbors. I heard a choke. Stop, stop. Not just for my neighbors, but for me. There we go. Let's do the back and forth. Yeah, that feels nice. I can do a little stretching. Yeah. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Extra prayer over there. Anyways, um, I know you guys got a chance to hear Pastor Jessica. Do you guys remember her 4 times? She's my cousin. So we actually are roommates. What? Yeah, she's my cousin. So yes, God blessed me with a personal chef myself. So it's kind of like a family affair. I'm invited next week. My great grandmother's coming to preach here. No, I'm kidding, guys. No, 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 no. But yeah, it's a small world. We all kind of just, our parents grew up at the same church many years ago. But all that's it to say, before I preach the word, I want to introduce you guys. These are my two youth. This is Torian and Chris, like I said. And they're both amazing. And I just want to take a pastoral moment to just brag on them and affirm them. I've gotten a front row seat of watching the Lord transform their lives and awaken their potential. I've gotten front row seats where they've traveled overseas to many countries: Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Brazil. This summer they just went to Costa Rica and they just went to preach the gospel. They've preached to crowds of people, shared their testimonies of how Jesus took them from their pits, lifted them up, and gave them a new way of life. And I've seen Torian. She's a Moses. Who knows Moses in the Bible? She's a Moses of this generation. I've seen moments where she's gone into her school and her community, chasing after the hurting, chasing after the lost, and literally and metaphorically grabbing her friends by the collar and pushing them towards another direction than destruction. And she has the heart of a shepherd, of a pastor, which means she cares for those in need. And aka all of us, we're all in need, we're all lost, but she just carries the heart of the Father, and she's yeah. But because she's met the great shepherd, that is who I see in Torian. Now this kid, coming closer, this is Chris. Man, we're just scratching the surface over Chris and who he is and who he's becoming. He's a preacher, he's a gifted writer, and he's the funniest storyteller. If you sit with him for 5 minutes, you're going to be cracking up because he's just the funniest person I've ever met. And I've seen him go through the rings of fire of life and all the hardship. And so often, like many of you guys, maybe you feel like you discount yourself because of your circumstances or your situations. But every time I look at Chris, I keep seeing the potential that God's placed in him. And I've seen him testify and preach to a room that was gray and turn it into a room of color. I've seen him declare God as his shepherd, and if we're his sheep and God's our shepherd, then we don't have to carry our baggage. He's preached that one time, and it held so close to me. And, he always says this, but I don't know why he says this, but he says, I'm always the youngest, But he could have been the youngest in that room, but he carried the heart and the anointing of God, and it pierced through every single person in that room, and it reached the depths of their souls. But most importantly, I love watching them constantly grow in their identities and become daughters and sons of God, God's beloved. And I want to tell you guys that's who you guys are today, God's beloved. So I want to start off with this. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you're struggling with or you're battling with. God has a purpose in your life. And when you allow him to move in your life, get ready because it's going to be the funnest, craziest, most adventurous journey that you're going to walk in. And you don't have to do it alone in this journey because he's walking it out with you guys. So these are just two stories that I'm telling you guys of what happens when Jesus comes and awakens the potential and the purpose in your life. But not only that, we're going to tell another story. So I'm going to tell a story about a family who was in need, at the brink of death, actually. And we're going to focus on this family from different perspectives. So are you guys ready? It's not like you guys are ready. You guys ready? Can I see all of you guys look at me? A little smile, a little pretty smile. Yeah, let me see those teeth. Okay, closed mouth. That's okay. But we're going to go jump into the story, all right? All right, Chris, take it away.
Hello. I'm Chris, as she mentions. Today I'll be putting over Mark 5:21-43 AMP. When Jesus again had crossed over the boat to the other side of the sea, a large crowd had gathered around him, so he stayed by the seashore. A synagogue leader named Jairus came up, and he begged upon seeing him, saying, "Jesus, please, my daughter is at the point of death. Please come lay your hands on her so she'll be healed and live." So Jesus went with him, and a large crowd followed him, and pressed around from all sides. In the crowd, a woman who had suffered from 12 years of hemorrhage had suffered at the hands of many physicians and spent all that she had, but was not helped at all, but instead became worse. And she had heard reports about Jesus, and she believed, if I just touch an outer lane of his robes, I will be healed. And that's what she did. And immediately the blood dried up, and she felt in her body, without any doubt, that she was healed of her suffering. Immediately, Jesus, recognizing that the power had gone out from himself, turned around and from the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" The disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and you ask, 'Who touched me?'" Still, he kept looking around to see the woman who had done it. And the woman, though she was afraid and trembling, aware of what had happened to her, she came down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith, your personal trust and confidence in me has restored your health. Go in peace and be healed from your suffering." While he was still speaking, some people came from the synagogue official's house and said to Jairus, Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher anymore?" Overhearing what had been said, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid. Only keep on believing in me and my power." And he let no one go with him as witnesses, except for Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. As they came to the house of the synagogue official, he looked on with understanding at the uproar and commotion, people loudly weeping and wailing and mourning. While he had gone in, he had said to them, "Why make a commotion of weep? The child has not died, but is only sleeping." They began laughing scornfully at him because they knew the child was dead. But he made them all go outside, took the child's hands, his father and mother took them inside, and his 3 disciples. When he entered the room where the child was, taking the child's hand, he said tenderly to her, "Talitha kum," which translated from Aramaic means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." The little girl immediately got up and began to walk, for she was 12 years old, and immediately those who witnessed the child's resurrection were overcome with great wonder and utter amazement. They gave her strict orders no one should know about this, and told her to get her something to eat.
Hey guys, I feel like this morning we could just easily read over that passage and just think oh, it's another Bible story. It's just yeah, it's another Bible story. It doesn't relate to me because she's physically dead and being resurrected. But what about our spiritual state? What about our hearts? Can I be real with y'all this morning? Sometimes I struggle with my faith. But once I was running full speed once I met Jesus and he changed my life for the better. I realized there was more to life than just how I was before I met Jesus. Nothing could compare preaching to a crowd in Dominican Republic and watching their lives be transformed by the same person that transformed my life, aka Jesus. I didn't feel alone anymore. I felt the everlasting love of Jesus. I began to change my lifestyle even because if God's trying to give me a new one, I can't live in this old life that I've been living in. So I started cleaning up my life. These old habits I was stuck to, I knew I had to drop them. And I gave up smoking and following the crowd. Now, what do you mean, Tori, following the crowd? I mean, I knew I shouldn't be hanging out with those friends at school. I knew that I shouldn't be in those gossip circles. I knew that I shouldn't be in the bathroom with those friends. Like, it was just like, it was bad. I knew I had to change my life around. But in that, I found that the power of change was in my prayer. I walked in boldness and in my authority in Christ. So I started praying over my house, guys. I was like, if God can show up in the church, he could sure show up in my house. So I was playing worship music anytime I got alone and my family wasn't there. I was praying over my house. I was just doing everything for Jesus in my house because I wanted the presence of God that I felt in church in my house. I longed for that in my house. My house desperately needed it. Like, my house needed it really, really badly. But, of course, there came trials, and my home life seemed to get worse. My friends called me holy girl. Like, I went back after that encounter with Jesus that summer, my first summer camp. They called me holy girl. Like, I didn't want to do the same things as them anymore, and they didn't comprehend. I didn't expect them to comprehend it, but it still hurt me at the same time. I didn't expect them to think oh, she's just like one of the cool girls with us. Like, they didn't understand why I didn't want to do those same things. They didn't understand why I didn't want to skip class with them. They didn't understand why I didn't want to smoke with them, why I didn't want to hang out with them. I spent $800 in 1 month on my friends because I was people pleasing. I couldn't say no. And honestly, it felt like transaction. I felt like I was Bank of America or something. Like, my house began to go through financial hardships, and I picked up a job at Safeway, and that was my first job ever. And I skipped church to go to this job. I worked hours that shouldn't be worked as a minor, like, at all. Like, on Sundays, I worked from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And yeah, illegal. I caved into peer pressure. But at first I stood my ground because I knew who my Savior was. I knew that Jesus was on my side. I knew that he was walking by my side. But the taunting only continued. The ridicules got louder, and the doubts started to form. So I prepared a burial for myself because I began to believe the lies more than the promise. I'm going to say that again. Guys, I began to believe the lies more than the promise God had for me. This kept spiraling and spiraling and spiraling until I just didn't know what to do anymore, guys. Like, I was completely lost. I was hurt. I lost so much money. I lost so many friends. I lost who I was in Christ. I lost it all, guys. In that, I was only saying, why bother the teacher? I know the outcome, and it won't change. I was just like the person in the story. Why bother the teacher? It's never going to change. And in this, I was preparing. Getting comfy, laying a pillow, getting in, making myself at home, maybe get some flowers. This is where I was. I was stuck in my sin. I felt like at this point, this is all I knew. And yeah, I started to believe the lies more than the promise. The lies I started to believe is maybe I'll always be this way. You know what? They're right. I couldn't really change in less than 24 hours. I'm always going to be like my friends. I'm always going to be like my family that ended up in the wrong path. Smoking in my household was all that they knew. They filled the void with smoking in my house. I woke up, I smelled the smoke. I go to bed, I smelled the smoke. It's only because they tried to fill a void. It's only because they tried to fill a void with temporary satisfaction. The lies kept continuing. You know what? I am going to be addicted like them. And like I said, you get comfy and you make yourself at home in your sin where death lays. This is how it'll end. My life will always be this way.
And in all this time, Jesus is on his way saying, she's not dead. She's only sleeping. What I've learned is he's certainly not done with me. And I don't know about you, but he might not be done with you either. Jesus has way too much in store to give up now. If you want to hear this today, I want you to hear this today. Jesus' authority has more power than death itself. When a man tried to crucify and nail Jesus to a cross, it only ignited a resurrection power that not only defeated sin and death, but is now surging through us and us to walk through. Luke 10:19 says, I have given you authority to trample over snakes and scorpions and to overcome the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. You see, me, myself, I was also in a grave. And I feel no matter what we might try, we're always going to end up in one or we went through one. But one day, one of my youth pastors, actually both of them, they ended up pulling me out of that grave. And when I got out, what I saw left behind was, that's not where I belong. That's not where I should be. And I saw the tombstone saying, anxiety, doubt, non-believer. So I began to follow more scriptures, started reading up more, and this is what I found for you guys, and I want to share this over you. Isaiah 41:10 says, Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hands. John 14:27, Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives to you, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And by peace by God, which surpasses everything, will guard your hearts and your minds through Jesus Christ. 1 John 4:18. I bet. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has given us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control.
So what if we listen to those voices of doubt? We saw both sides. One where it's saying, what's the point of trying? This is what my life is. My daughter's dying. What's that situation for you guys?
Maybe it's over your guys' self. I mean, it makes sense, right? She looks dead. I mean, look at me. Look at it. Why bother give it a chance? I want to ask you today, is that what you're speaking over yourself today? Over your situation? Jesus, don't bother coming like I'm hopeless. It's a lost cause. It's too big of a situation for you guys. Maybe the doubt started with someone else speaking that over you guys, who had an influence over you, and it only tore you down, then built you up. And here's the thing, guys. The most deceiving part of this, if you look back at that passage, was it came from the voices that was closest to Jairus. It says it was the people from his house that came to him saying, don't bother, she's dead. Don't bother the teacher anymore. Just stop. The Bible said, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter's dead, they said. Why bother the teacher anymore? And Jesus was there the whole time, mind you. But I want to point something out. What other miracle happened in this story? I want to ask you guys. What did we just talk about in the passage? If any of you guys picked that up. When they were in the crowd. Anyone? The woman was healed with the issue of blood. Now, when we were reading it, I was like, we're focusing on the little daughter that got raised from the dead. I was like, maybe take that out. Maybe we don't need to focus on that. But I felt like the Lord was saying, no. There's a reason why that's in the same passage. Now, Jairus was on the way with Jesus to his daughter that was supposedly dead. But in the middle of it, someone could caught a scene, it was delayed time because of the woman, slowed down time. The daughter could have lived, right? But maybe the Lord specifically wanted Jairus to see the healing of the woman of the issue of blood because he knew the very people that were going to come to him with the doubts. And I think it's so intentional with the Lord, making him see that miracle first. He needed to see that 12 years of suffering that woman walked through, Jairus. He needed to see that 12 years that can be healed and taken in a second. All she did was touch his hem, the hem of Jesus' cloak, and she was healed instantaneous. 12 years, think about that. How old was his daughter? 12 years old. And the 12 years of his daughter that was about to be taken away by death can be restored within a second by Jesus. What's the common factor? Jesus. He is the one. He's the source. So here I am. I'm Jairus. I'm desperately in need. I'm on my way to the miracle with Jesus. This is Jesus, long-haired Jesus. And he had just healed this woman, right? And he hears the news. And she's on his way. But then you hear these familiar voices. And it sounds so familiar, so it's in a tug-of-war. He's like, wait. It's interesting that he was way more familiar with the side of this voice. But from his very first encounter with Jesus, he saw a miracle immediately. So he's going back. He's like, no, but I've seen a miracle. I've seen a miracle. But then the voices. So he's left in that middle. What do I do? But the story continues on, right? And Jesus makes it to the house. They get to the house. You recognize these voices, that's far more. But there's also a new voice in the midst of it, in the midst of the chaos, and it's Jesus. And his voice holds the power of a miracle that he just saw, but is about to see too. But it's his choice, Jairus' choice, of whose voice he's going to listen to. And I believe Jesus intentionally had the miracle happen before his eyes to prepare Jairus for the same voices that were about to bring him the news of death. And I want you to know this, guys. Satan will try to get in the way when you are steps away from your miracle. I'm going to say that again. Satan, the devil, will try to get in the way subtly when you're steps away from their miracle. But Jesus is always one step ahead. He's always one step ahead. He never left if you listen to the story. He was there the whole time. And he's going to prepare for you moments of pushback and doubt, not to throw you off course, but to strengthen your faith. And in that moment, it's up to you if you listen to his promise or the voices of doubt. He never left his side. It's who and what news we listen to that determines the outcome. If in that moment it says, overhearing them, Jesus overheard them, and he spoke directly to Jairus, not the crowd of people that were doubting. He spoke to Jairus, the one in need. He said, don't be afraid, only believe. So which news are you going to listen to? She's just asleep. She's not dead yet. Just asleep. Did you notice how also when he made it to the house, they made it to the house, right? What was the first thing that he did? He removed the people of the house that was familiar to Jairus. He removed them all out in the room because they ridiculed and mocked him. They didn't have the eyes to see like Jairus and his own disciples. The only people that was invited was Jairus, his wife, and the disciples. And that's the scariest part of the passage, guys, because the question is left for us. Will we be the one removed from the room or invited in to see the miracle happen? And what determines that is your view of Jesus. And I'll end with this. There are areas of my life where I'm still struggling with this. Places of disappointment where It's easier to guard my heart and listen to the familiar voices by putting your heart out. Because if I'm putting my heart out, if I can be real, it's a risk. It's a risk, meaning a risk of heartache. It means a risk of disappointment. I'm gonna be real, guys. Just this week. Risk of rejection. Can you lower it a bit? Risk of rejection. A risk too big to try again. And I know that this is something that's pounding in some of your guys' heart right now. I've tried, I've seen the news, but it's too big of a risk to try again. I was walking in that this week where I'm writing this message and the Lord was saying, you're not too far from this message. I'm speaking to you too. It was the Lord's grace in my life to slow me down this week saying, I'm speaking to you too. For me, I've been waiting for a particular promise in my life. 5 years when I began praying for this. 5 years I've been praying and fighting for this to happen in my life and around me. But the doubts started coming. The waves started coming. Have I been shaky? Yes. I'm going to be honest. Have I been unfaithful to Jesus? Yes. But he hasn't. He's been faithful. He hasn't left my side. That's the thing. I've been ruined for normal. I've stopped. There are moments where I can't stop believing in Jesus because I know there's a greater power than my own strength. We go back to the woman of issue with blood. 12 years she dealt with it, yet something in her said, if I can only touch the hem, I'd be healed. That promise of healing will happen to me. If Jesus, Jairus is saying, if he just got to my house, restoration to my family will happen. Maybe you're like me and you're holding on to this promise today. And that promise that seems so out of reach, yet you still believe. Even if it's a thread, you still believe. And I feel like there are some of you guys in this room that need to hear this, of what the Lord told me this week. He reminded me, no person, no thing, no career, no friend group, no partner can ever fulfill you the way I can. Nothing can fix your situation, where only I can restore the things and reconcile what you are crying out for. Crying out means I'm desperately praying for it. It's a groaning inside of me to the point where I can't even have words. Do some of you guys have something like that, a need in you? Maybe it's a restoration in your family, in relationships, in your own life. Maybe you're battling with what Chris was saying, anxiety, fear, where you can't get out of your head. Maybe you're believing for more of a purpose that Jesus is saying in your life, that Torian is saying. But all these other people are saying otherwise, and the situation's getting too big. It's too big. It's too much a risk, God. I can't do it. But here God's saying nothing can fill that in but me. Nothing can pull you out but me. I'm not speaking as if I'm any better. I'm speaking if I am in the middle of the process. I'm in the middle of the road like Jairus, and I'm saying, God, I'm listening to your voice. God, I don't care about these doubters, the closest ones to me telling me that they know better, what I'm speaking over myself. I know you, Jesus. I've seen what you've done. I've seen what you've done. There's miracles that I've seen in the past, so I'm holding on to this miracle that hasn't happened yet because I know who you are, Jesus. And I'm speaking that over to you guys today, an invitation. The same thing he spoke to me when I was spiraling. Don't be afraid. Only believe. It's not complicated, guys. We're the ones that complicate it ourselves. Because I'm stuck in this spot. I'm like, God, I don't know how to do this. I'm believing for restoration. It seems so hopeless. I'm scared to put out my heart again. God, I can't do it. How do I, I'm trying to figure out all these steps, these strategies. What do I do? What do I do? I'm a striver. And all he said was a soft whisper. Don't be afraid. Just believe. Believe in him today. Believe in him tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. So I ask you today, what is it that you need? Are you like that little girl on the brink of death? In a restoring for life, there's a restoration that you're believing for. You recognize there are parts of you that have died. Maybe a feeling that you haven't felt like yourself in a long time. You've lost yourself and you're like, I feel so far out of reach where I used to be. That's been robbed by the enemy, by circumstances, by life. In places of you, you just feel like it's asleep. It's dormant. I can't wake it up. and you need an awakening from Jesus, well, let me tell you today, he's in the room. He's right here in this moment. He's in this room, guys. I want you to know that. And he's about to awaken you. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're like Jairus. You're desperate for a need. And there's voices all around you telling you, just give up. Stop trying. Don't you see the situation? You're only a fool. And they're laughing at you. They're mocking you. You look crazy right now. It's too late. What's the point of believing? Don't bother Jesus. This Jesus that you believe in, why bother? She's dead. Look at her. That situation, why bother? And Jesus is saying, don't be afraid. Just believe. I'm with you. And he's walking. Don't you forget, he never stopped moving. He's never stopped moving. You're on this path and he's walking. He's walking. He's walking with you. It might not feel like he's with you, but he's walking. He's just saying, don't believe, don't be afraid, just believe. And he's walking and he's saying right now, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. I'm in that house. I'm going to be in that house. Don't you worry. I have your back. I'm going to remove the doubters. I'm going to remove the people that is getting in your way from your miracle. Don't doubt. Don't be afraid. I'm with you. And some of you guys need to hear that. He's pushing the doubters away from you right now. He's breaking those lies in your mind right now that has been tormenting you, and you feel stuck. You feel stuck because there are things telling you don't even try. And you found yourself in this coffin, finding comfort in your pain, in your sin, other things that's been numbing you, and you know it's not working. But the miracle never stopped. The miracle is still there, and it's about to be awakened. Maybe you feel like you're Jairus. What is it for you today? And there's one more that I want to leave you with.
Maybe you realize that there's a lot of doubt, a lack of faith in your life because the situations in your life seem unredeemable. You recognize that you don't love God, but you found more trust and comfort in your pain. Doubt was now your first response, but today that changes. You want to believe. You want to be invited into that room. You want to push for the miracle to happen. And you realize now that Jesus' authority overpowers death itself. Come to the altar.
So that's the invitation for you today. Come to the altar. Come to the altar. It's not a specific place, but it's a heart posture, and we're inviting you right now in this moment. Maybe you feel like one of these threes. You need to be awakened. There's something that's dead inside of you. You're Jairus, and you want to keep moving forward. Or maybe you realize that you've been on the outskirts and you've been doubting and you've fallen into that cynical mindset. But you want to believe again. You want to be invited to the room with Jesus to see that miracle happen. Because at times you did believe, but circumstances made you bitter. Circumstances made you offended with the truth that you stopped believing yourself, and instead you began to mock the very one that can help you. And I hear that today. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So why am I saying come to this altar? You can come up anytime. If you're believing for a miracle, why am I saying come to an altar? Because it takes action. It takes movement. It takes a step of faith. Don't let that doubt make you paralyzed. Don't let that cynical bitterness make you stuck in your seat. That woman had to reach to the hem. All it took was 12 years. 12 years she's been waiting for a miracle, tried so many things, and it said it only worsened with other ways. But the minute she said, I'm going to touch him, the power surged in and she was healed in an instant. It took an action, even if it's just a tiny reach, guys. Even if that's all you can offer because you have no strength inside of you anymore and it's just a reach. Maybe you're like Jairus and you're saying, I don't know, God. I don't know, but I feel you, and I'm just going to, if I could just make it to my house, even if I collapse into the household, Jesus, I know you're there with me. I'm just going to keep taking a step forward. You want to be invited into that. Come up. There's something in part of you where you have to partake in the miracle. You need to take a step away, and you need to let the things break off of you because they're like shackles weighing you down. They're like weights weighing you down. And imagine the freedom that's about to happen in this moment. So I invite you in this time. Come alive. That's what he's saying. Come alive. Talitha kum. Little girl, I say to you, get up. Little boy, I say to you, get up in this moment. Come alive. Come alive. So I'm going to open up this moment. When you feel like it, maybe some of you guys feel like you need it's going to take time. Maybe some of you guys saying it's instantaneous, but it's not about the person next to you. It's about you and what the Lord wants to do in you and the miracle that's awaiting. So whether it's one of these threes, come up into this moment and grab your authority. Come up. Maybe you need to get on your knees. Maybe it's just standing up. We're going to begin praying for you for that miracle. If you have someone, if you need someone to pray with you, we're going to come alongside of you to pray too. So I just invite you guys right now. I'm going to help you guys. We're just going to start with, sometimes it's just about getting up. So we're going to all stand up in this moment. Stand up. What is it for you? What is it for you? What is that need? He's in the room. Don't be afraid. Just believe. Don't be afraid. Just believe. Up here. If you just want prayer for something, you don't even have to mention it if it's too much. You can come up and we're going to pray for you. If it's too much where you're like, I'm not sure if I can do that, it's a little scary, you can just raise your hand and we'll meet you there. The Lord will meet you where you're at. All it takes is just a little action. It's just a movement. Whatever it is, we're believing for a miracle. We're believing for an awakening today. All it takes is a step of boldness. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. I'm believing for a miracle this moment. Believing for that step of faith. Every part of you where you're holding on to a circumstance, where you're waiting for a miracle, I